Hello, I'm Scary Bro.
And I am Scary Sis. And we are
the Scary Sis.
Are they still up there?
I think so. Hello, mortals, and welcome to Scary Sibs. During our escapade of dimension hopping, we very briefly warped to another planet where we met some, at the time, friendly aliens. Things were going well at first, we were getting along, but then right as we were about to leave, Sister did the Spock thing to them. And apparently, that is an offensive gesture on their planet, and now there is a flying saucer hovering above the crypt, ready to open fire.
Well, how was I supposed to know they'd get that upset?
Well, it's just a dumb, cliched thing to do. I mean, it's like, that would be like doing the hand thing for an Italian or telling a New Yorker, you're walking here. You don't do the Spock thing to aliens.
Okay. Noted for the future. Anyway, while we attempt to smooth things over with our ET visitors and try not to get vaporized, let's look back at a few films where other people had not so friendly encounters with beings from another planet.
Aliens have long proven fodder for horror movies, and for good reason. Life from another world is shrouded in mystery and can take many different, terrifying forms. Sometimes they're advanced beyond what we can imagine, and sometimes they present themselves as strange, grotesque monstrosities. It's no wonder why so many people are afraid of them.
Which of these space-faring horrors is truly the scariest? Let's find out with our list of the top 10 alien horror movies. Number 10, The Fourth Kind. This mockumentary follows the story of a small town in Alaska plagued by insomnia and owls. At least that is how the story goes. As Dr. Abigail Tyler digs deeper into the psyche of her patients, she begins to speculate that something much more sinister is at play here, and it may be an otherworldly force connected to the unsolved case of her husband's death.
When watching this movie, it reminded me a bit of Lake Mungo, which we reviewed in our found footage list. Both are fictional stories that are framed to be real through the use of sort of a documentary style. However, whereas that movie was well acted and compelling enough to make you care about the story, this one isn't. First of all, the movie insists on itself far too much and makes itself out to be way too important. When you know that the events never actually happened, this almost makes it feel comical. Also, the acting isn't doing anyone any favors either, as none of the characters are really portrayed in a way to make you care. And let's not get started on the aliens themselves. First of all, we never actually see them, or really know that much about them, which is disappointing. But there's also this weird thing to where they apparently block out your memory of them and replace it with an owl. That's just stupid. There's also this weird gimmick where they can apparently possess people during hypnosis sessions and use that to communicate with people. Now, granted, these things were creepy, but they felt like they belonged in an exorcism movie, not an alien one.
Overall, this film was just trying to do too much. I feel like if they had just picked a lane and stayed with it, it would have been a much better movie. But the way it is now, it is definitely flawed.
Number 9, No One Will Save You. A young woman named Bryn lives an isolated life in the woods after an incident leading to the death of her friend makes her the town pariah. One night, Bryn's home is attacked by hostile aliens, and she's forced to try to fight them off as best she can. However, Bryn learns that these aliens haven't just come after her, but have also been targeting the entire town. Bryn must now confront both these otherworldly invaders as well as her own past in order to make it out unharmed.
Honestly, the worst part about this movie is the aliens themselves. They look like an AI-generated alien costume. They are not scary at all. However, the message and plot of this film make it redeemable. The message of being shut out by your own species but accepted by another is something deep, and the choice to make this film with almost no dialogue was intriguing and unique. There are some plot points that don't entirely make sense, like when Bryn faces an alien that has disguised itself as her, and she bawls her eyes out after killing it. Kinda weird. But I would watch this movie again, and I would enjoy it. Not winning awards for scares, but it is entertaining.
At first, I wasn't on board with this movie's gimmick of containing almost no spoken dialogue, but then I got a chance to see what they could really do with visual storytelling, and it was certainly a competent effort, given its spot at number 9, that is. There are definitely better alien movies out there, but for a somewhat unknown movie on streaming, you could definitely do a lot worse.
Number 8, Fire in the Sky. Heading home one night, a group of loggers come across something in the sky menacingly glowing bright red. One of the men, Travis, goes to investigate, and a beam shoots down, strikes him, and the other men assume he's dead. The other men freak out and leave. Once they are back in town, they have to explain what happened, and most do not believe the men. As the story progresses, we see the effects of the evening on all of those involved and the struggles they face to get the public to believe them.
This movie is frustrating because the scenes set aboard the spacecraft are great, and the aliens are absolutely terrifying, and watching Travis attempt to escape them is harrowing. The problem is that this is an extremely small part of the movie. The majority of the film is centered on his friends trying to convince the public they had nothing to do with his disappearance. It delves almost into crime drama territory, and you almost forget it's an alien movie sometimes. If it weren't for the strong acting of all of the friends, I would have easily been bored. I do wish that this movie took place entirely on the ship, though being based on an, allegedly, real-life abduction case, I can see where that may have proven difficult.
All in all, this is a really good movie in the beginning and in the end. The middle does tend to drag a bit, but we can forgive it for that. The concept is unique enough to be memorable, and I do want to learn about the real-life events that inspired the film.
Number 7, Brightburn. A couple in rural Kansas who are trying to have a baby seem to get their prayers answered when a spaceship crash lands close to their farmhouse. Inside is a baby boy who they name Brandon. As Brandon enters his adolescence, his alien nature begins to catch up with him, and he suddenly realizes he has amazing and powerful abilities. However, rather than use these abilities to protect humanity, he may just be the one who ends up destroying it.
This horror take on Superman is much scarier than you would think it would be. I mean, I would be skeptical hearing that plot as well, but I'm telling you, it is scary. Now, I do think that they missed an opportunity here a bit, as Brandon seems to primarily focus on killing people he knows. If he truly has this superiority complex and wants to take the world, you would think he would be thinking a bit bigger. I almost wish that this movie was broken into a trilogy so that they could dive deeper into where Brandon came from and what he is going to do to Earth. It felt a bit rushed as they tried to fit in so much into a single film.
I agree, sister. I would have liked to have seen Brandon take on the military or even another super being so we could see just what he was really capable of. As though this movie helps reinforce just how terrifying Superman's powers are in the wrong hands. And in an era where it seems like just about every well-known character is getting the horror treatment, this one actually turned out better than expected.
Number 6, Slither. One night, a mysterious force lands on Earth on a small town in eastern USA. A man named Grant is the unfortunate victim of a leech-like alien species that enters his body and overpowers Grant. Grant begins a slow and grueling process where he becomes increasingly grotesque and less human. The police, along with Grant's wife, are trying to get to the bottom of what is happening and save their town and humanity in the process.
This movie, I feel, toes the line between horror and comedy perfectly. The aliens themselves are appropriately gross and creepy, and there are a lot of moments of shocking body horror, such as a woman exploding in a barn and the slowly mutating body of Grant. However, at the same time, the protagonists are very funny and likable, and help add an air of levity to an otherwise harrowing situation. This is definitely a movie that, while gross and uncomfortable, is also very lighthearted to watch.
This movie isn't winning any serious awards for horror, but I highly recommend this one if you are looking for a lighthearted viewing with some legitimate horror elements thrown in. Okay, you know what? I need to communicate with these aliens. I can let them know that I didn't mean any harm. I'll connect with them through hypnosis, like in the fourth kind.
Okay, well, I'm willing to try it. Close your eyes. You will go under in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I guess she's on hold. Alright, well, I'm continuing with the ranking. Number 5, Prometheus. In this sort of prequel to Alien, Drs. Shaw and Holloway unearth ancient artifacts that suggest humanity may have been created by a race of extraterrestrials they call the Engineers. The pair track down what they believe to be the Engineers' homeworld in hopes of making contact with them. Aided by the crew of the Prometheus, a ship provided to them by a shady corporation with its own goals, the two doctors discover the secrets behind the Engineers. However, they soon realize that some secrets are better left buried.
Your call is important to us. Please continue to hold and someone will be with you shortly.
Thank you for calling the Pizza Shack. What are you dudes munching on tonight?
For crying out loud, she called the wrong... never mind, wrong number. Oh, wait, actually, can I get a large supreme pie, no olives, delivered to the Scary Crypt in the Misty Cemetery?
Righteous. And would you like a side with that? Perhaps our bodacious buffalo wings?
No, that'll be all. Thanks, Alan.
What happened? Did I make peace with the aliens?
Oh, yeah, you did great.
Really?
No, you contacted the Pizza Shack, you fool.
I was wondering why I smelled cheese.
Just do your segment and let's get on with this.
Fine. Which one are we on?
Prometheus.
This movie was a good combination of drama, science fiction, and horror. The one downside here was that the ending was highly unrealistic. Our final characters make several choices that are entirely unbelievable after seeing what they just went through. It did take away from the film as a whole for me, but I was able to forgive this as the rest of the film was very well developed, entertaining, scary, and well acted.
Honestly, as part of the Alien canon, the explanations this film and its direct sequel, Alien Covenant, provide are a tad on the disappointing side. However, taken as its own self-contained story, This is a solid piece of science fiction that asks a lot of interesting questions and sets up an intense and sometimes scary scenario.
Number 4, Nope. After the mysterious death of their father, 2 horse farmer siblings are struggling to keep their ranch afloat, and their work assisting with horse scenes in films is not a huge success. The siblings soon discover that an alien force has been hiding behind a stationary cloud near their farm, and they concoct a plan to capture the being on camera to become rich. The siblings soon realize that this force is a strong and sinister one, and they may have bitten off more than they can chew by messing with it.
Yet another impressive film by Jordan Peele. This movie does a great job at slowly building up its alien threat over the course of the movie by slowly revealing more and more of what it is, making you think the alien is a ship at first, only to reveal that the craft is actually a giant flying animal with genius. I also liked the commentary behind the film of animals being exploited and lives being destroyed for the sake of spectacle and entertainment, as part of the reason the alien is here is because the owner of a local theme park lured it there for an attraction. Now, the film can kind of drag on for a bit too long in certain areas, and while the alien's final design is impressive, I kind of wish they had gone with something scarier and less pretty, for lack of better terms. Still, this is another hit for Jordan Peele and makes me eager to see what he cooks up next.
This is a great movie and one of the few modern alien movies from the last few years that really seems like it could turn into a classic, even if the alien looked like a giant floating stingray.
Number 3, Signs. A former pastor named Graham Hess awakens one morning to discover strange patterns have been pressed into his crops. As increasingly weird and creepy events continue to happen on his property, he learns that similar things are happening all over the world, and it could be the beginning of an alien invasion that threatens all of humanity. As Graham fights to save his family, his already shaken faith may be tested even further.
This is a really good movie about family, faith, overcoming trauma, and more. This movie is effective because we see very little of the aliens, but an entire generation is traumatized by a single shot from this movie. Something I enjoy about this movie as well is that it actually has a happy ending that doesn't seem entirely unrealistic, which is rare in horror. I do wish that we had spent a little more time actually interacting with the aliens, as most of this film is the family speculating whether or not the aliens are real, which can be a bit of a drag. But overall, this movie is a really great watch, and it is subtly scary.
I personally enjoyed the unique take on the alien invasion formula by having the film focus on an isolated family and how they deal with the disaster. It makes the few scares that do come about that much more effective. This is definitely one of M. Night Shyamalan's better works and proof that, despite a few missteps, the man knows horror and suspense remarkably well.
Number 2, John Carpenter's The Thing. After a strange man shows up at their base shooting at a dog and yelling, American researchers in Antarctica travel to a nearby Norwegian base and they find an apparent crime scene. They also find a disfigured creature and decide to bring it back to their base to examine it. The men soon find out that the creature is indeed an alien life form in which copies its victims and assumes their physical attributes to fool others.
This movie is a classic in body horror, paranoia, and creature design. For a time before CGI, the fact that they were able to get all of these creative monster designs to look this good is a feat in and of itself. Also, the premise of a monster that can disguise itself as one of your friends to where you don't know who you can trust is a terrifying concept that this movie handles brilliantly. It's too bad this film didn't get a better reception when it first came out, because it's truly a masterpiece of horror.
We don't really know too much about these aliens or exactly what they want, but one can assume that it is probably not something good if they are copying and imitating Earth creatures and then attacking others. The acting was great in this film, and John Carpenter really did a great job building up the paranoia and that feeling that many of us would have if we were in that situation.
And number one, probably to very little surprise, is Alien. The crew of the Nostromo ship respond to a distress beacon on a remote planet, and upon arriving, find the wreckage of an alien craft with strange eggs inside. One of the eggs hatches, and a grotesque creature awakens and attaches itself to a crew member, creating inside of him a violent and intelligent alien monster that gets loose and begins hunting down the rest of the Nostromo crew one by one.
Honestly, it is very easy to tell why this movie is such a classic, as almost everything about it is really good. The acting is phenomenal, the characters are interesting and sympathetic, the alien is terrifying, and the situation itself is scary as well. The only thing that I would have loved is to have seen a bit more of the alien development. Like, who are these creatures? What do they want? I'm sure the franchise dives deeper as it goes, but it would have been interesting to have some of that information in the inaugural film.
This movie perfectly captures the feeling of a slasher movie, trapped in an isolated location while a killer stalks you in the dark. Only this time, the slasher is not of this earth and is perfectly equipped to hunt you. This is the sci-fi horror film, the one that I'm sure every other movie on this list drew some form of inspiration from, and an easy pick for our number one spot.
And that was our list for the top 10 alien horror movies. Did you agree or disagree with our picks? Let us know in the comments. And while our viewers are doing that, I'm going to go try to patch things over with the aliens.
Good luck.
So you see, the gesture that I made earlier, I didn't know that it was offensive on your planet. It's just something a character on a TV show does. This whole thing was just a big misunderstanding. So, are we good? Excellent. Thank you, guys.
So, how negotiations go?
Okay, so, apparently, as bad as the Spock thing is, thumbs up is worse.
Wow, a lot of offensive gestures on their planet.
Yeah, I think they're getting ready to blow up the crypt. So what do we do?
Wait a minute, sister. I'm remembering something. Something our uncle's chiropractor's dog walker said to me before she passed out from food poisoning. She leaned over, first she threw up, but then she leaned over, took my hand in hers, looked into my eyes and said, "Scary bro, tell Scary Sis, swing away." Sister, swing away. Then again, she was baked out of her mind when she said it, so it could have just been nonsense.
Well, I guess the caretaker will be spending the next month repairing this crypt because of our antics. Again. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Until then, I am Scary Sis.
And I am Scary Bro. And we are the Scary Sis.
Did you hear that?
I do. Oh, crap. That means the circus is in town. And you know what that means. Clowns. Also, I never got my pizza.